Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to our show titled Speak of Africa. For the show of today, we're going to talk about medical tourism. As you may know, there's a question we want to ask. Why is it that when presidents or prime ministers in Scandinavian countries are sick, they are treated in their home country? But in Africa, by contrast, when African presidents are sick, they don't trust the healthcare systems in their countries. They prefer to fly to the colonial master's country for treatment. Why is that? That's the question we're going to answer in this video. We're going to address that question because we want you to know. Okay? So that's it. Then we'll start. Medical tourism is not something new. It's a phenomenon that is happening in Africa. As we are talking to you today, President Paul Biya of Cameroon is in Switzerland, in Geneva, receiving medical treatment. But there's a whole lot of rumor mills churning. Jeune Afrique would air stories that, oh, Paul Biya is in Switzerland, he's receiving medical treatment, serious intensive care. Then Biya's communication minister, René Sadi, oh, no. Biya is in Geneva, Switzerland, he's not receiving medical treatment. That's a lie. But after a while, how long are you going to continue telling lies, deceiving the people? It's not working. Because when you have a system that believes in lies, fake stuff, that's what happens. Why is this happening? Well, we want to give you good examples. But this is the phenomenon. Starting with Paul Biya, who is currently now in Switzerland. He's been in Switzerland for over 3 weeks. In fact, Paul Biya left Cameroon on June 7th. So the month is almost ending. So he's been there now for over 3 weeks. What's he doing? If he's not receiving medical treatment, what's he doing? And we even know the name of the clinics where he is receiving care as we speak. For reasons of privacy, we don't want to share that information on this show. But if you want, go to the comment section and ask us, what is the name of the clinic Paul Biya is receiving care? We want to text that information to you. But we don't want to air it in the open so that thousands of people can get the information. But if you really need this information, go to the comment section. We'll give it to you. So when you look at what is happening to Paul Biya has been in power for over 43 years. In fact, he became president in 1982 when I obtained my degree from University of Yaoundé. In fact, my friends who were in the School of Journalism went to Mvumeka to cover the ascendancy of Paul Biya. Okay? They covered this event, L'appel du destin, the call of destiny. So when Biya became president, to Cameroonians, it was like the call of destiny. How disappointed Cameroonians have become. Because for over 43 years, Biya has not been able to build a decent hospital in his country. When you look at what is happening to your average Cameroonian, they have hospitals, even the central hospital in Yaoundé. You go there, the infrastructure is abysmal, not decent. So, are you now surprised that Biya does not have confidence in his own system, the hospital that he manages, he pays for as president? If he doesn't have confidence in that hospital, who should have confidence in such a hospital? Which is why, when you see what happens in Scandinavian countries, Denmark, Norway, Iceland, Sweden, all these countries believe in good healthcare systems. And what they do, they make sure that their leaders use the same healthcare systems. They don't allow them to create poor healthcare systems, subject people to die in those places. Then when they are sick themselves, they run away to Europe, to colonial countries. Now they are creating a sham. You have $6 billion tourism industry, medical tourism. Africans leaders are spending over $6 billion a year on treatment abroad. This is money that could have been spent taking care of people in their countries. But they are stealing this money and using it to take care of themselves. Whereas the majority of the people are wallowing in poverty, no good care, no electricity in hospitals, no infrastructure, no beds, no tools. You go to hospitals, there are no medications. The places are empty. So is it then a surprise to you that when Paul Biya is sick, he would rather run away to Switzerland, hide in a clinic to take care of himself, whereas his people are suffering? So the egalitarian concept is not even there. Because when you look at what is happening in Scandinavian countries, I did this research and I decided I'll use Scandinavia as a goalpost, because in business, I believe in the modeling of excellence. Scandinavia is a good area, and I want you guys to know that these countries should be like a model which we can use. So Africans, if we can look at what is happening in these countries, politically, these guys believe in self-reliance. Economically, they believe in building an infrastructure that is decent for everybody. Then socially, the prime minister of Scandinavian countries, they use those same facilities. But they don't say, oh, I'm the president of Cameroon, I'm superior, I'm a god, I cannot use those low facilities in Yaoundé or Bamenda. No, everybody uses the same facilities, so everybody is equal. So that's the premise. Then of course, there is no corruption. The way you see, you ask yourself, after over 43 years, what has Biya done in terms of healthcare? Look at queues. Queues probably should have been elevated to probably the best facility in the world, but it has not happened. Instead, you have brain drain. Most of the students who were trained in queues are running away from Cameroon, looking for greener pastures in Europe and America. So one of the problems that you see while we're emphasizing this medical tourism is a factor of brain drain. It is costing African countries a whole lot of money. So we are exposing people like Biya, because by contrast, you have the good guys. And one of the good guys is Ibrahim Traoré. You can see that Ibrahim Traoré is exposing these guys. He's not only talking about political sovereignty. Sovereignty means self-reliance. Instead of relying on colonial masters, because the tape people like Biya and Buhari, Tinubu are playing is the old tape. When you are sick, you run to a colonial master's house for treatment. What about your own house? Because you did not build anything in your own house, that's why you're relying on your colonial master. And they continue laughing at us. By contrast, Ibrahim Traoré became president just in 2022. Already, he has built a very modern hospital with the partnership of China. He has built a very modern hospital, and you see this hospital in Yellow Lasso, Bobo Lasso. Very nice hospital, modern facility with all the stuff that will make it the envy of hospitals in Switzerland. If we have such hospitals, why would we even think about going to Europe? Ibrahim Traoré did this because he thought it is noble for his people to have a decent hospital. He has banned medical tourism in his country. And I think this is something we have to start considering in other African countries. If the members of parliament are serious, they have to think twice. There's no reason why politicians or the political elite should have the privilege to be flying to colonial capitals for treatment when the average citizen in Africa cannot afford even a square meal. They cannot afford medicine for the family. So this has to stop as far as we see it, because it's a scandal. It's a shame. It is happening in the 21st century and it should not be happening. So now, as we're telling you, it's a current problem. Biya is in Switzerland, and you can get some of those guys, Brigade Anti-Sardina, they are protesting every day in his hotel, Hotel Intercontinental. This is not the first time these guys have been protesting at Hotel Intercontinental. They have been doing it. We've covered this event so many times. So to Biya, it's like what they call deja vu. I've already seen that. Biya is not fazed when those guys are protesting. He has taken honor and soul shame. So he's not ashamed because the guys are doing that stuff. He doesn't care, and they keep doing it. So when you see this, you ask yourself, why is this happening? Look at what Ibrahim Traoré has done. The hospital has all the modern facilities. Economically, it is bringing money to the country. It's creating employment. Then, of course, there's a new mentality, the can-do mentality. Socially, it changes the whole mental attitude of the people. If you want Africans to be free, you have to change their mentality, the way they think. They have to think like people who are self-reliant. They are upright people. Then they are taking care of themselves. They are not sitting there and waiting for France to take care of them, or for Geneva to have a hospital for them to come. Then they spend all that money The hospital in Geneva was built with Swiss money, but now they are siphoning money from Africa because foolish dictators are coming there for treatment. If these dictators had built decent hospitals in their countries, this problem of medical tourism will not exist. We'll have more currency, more foreign reserve. We'll not be sitting and complaining. When you look at what is happening today in Geneva, Switzerland, it's a big shame for Cameroon because everybody is talking about it. Jeune Afrique is pumping this whole thing out. So the Cameroon government is struggling, trying to catch up. How can they catch up with the modern world? Social media, everybody is talking. The news is awash all over social media. They are complaining about the cost of Biya's treatment abroad. Then it's not only just the treatment. When Biya travels abroad, he takes an entourage of over 300 people. So do you see now why when they talk about $6 billion a year, it's because the money is too much. All these people are there, they are not even receiving treatment, but what are they doing there? Because as we speak to you, Biya's whole family is in Switzerland. Even Chantal Biya, the son, just organized a birthday party. They were calling him Monsieur le Président, a little boy, Paul Biya Jr. They were calling him Monsieur le Président. Chantal is parading with nice sports cars, red color, green, while the average Cameroonian does not even have 3 meals a day to eat. You go to a hospital in Yaoundé or even the smaller towns, the infrastructure is horrible. So why has Mr. Biya not been able to build a decent hospital for 43 years that he has been president? Why has he not been able to do that? It's because he understands that when he gets sick, he will not depend on those local hospitals. By contrast, in those Scandinavian countries, the prime minister knows that if I'm sick, I'm going to be treated in my country. So it will be an abomination for a prime minister in Switzerland to go to another country for treatment. When a guy is in Russia, he gets treated in his country. But in Africa, most of these people don't want to die in Africa. They want to die abroad because they don't have faith in their own healthcare systems. They did not build the right infrastructure. What is there is broken. And now they are telling you by their own choice, by not staying at home and getting treated at home, they are showing that they do not have faith in the systems in their own countries. We're giving you the example of Paul Biya. Paul Biya is not alone. But we want Paul Biya to learn from the young guy, Ibrahim Traoré, who had just become president just a few years ago. He has built a high-class hospital and is planning to build such hospitals in many other towns in Burkina Faso. So we love the vision of Ibrahim Traoré. You may not like the way he came to power through a military coup, but how many coups has Paul Biya organized since Ojong gave him power? Ojong even reminded him that, Biya, you did not win me in an election. I gave power to you voluntarily. But you behave as if they are winners and losers, like I've lost and you've gained. I gave you power. So you never won any election. I gave you power by decree. The Cameroon people did not choose you. So you did not become president through any election. Why are you behaving this way? Well, Biya is an upstart, and that's what upstarts do. You look at, he's not only squandering the money of the people, but he doesn't want anybody to take over. So everything is on standstill. This week, we saw the drama. A guy went to the TV station with a package where he wants the radio and TV people to read the nomination of a new vice president, only for the radio personalities to discover that this is fake. Biya did not sign such a decree. This was a fake decree. But this was orchestrated by Chantal Biya and Oswa Baboke, her village boy. They did this thinking that they can test the system and take over. So whenever you have such a system, it leaves a lot to be desired. Biya is not alone, so we are not complaining about Biya alone. Medical tourism is also happening in other African countries. Next, we'll take you to Nigeria. Bola Tinubu has been doing this. When you see him go to Britain for extended stays, he goes to France for extended stays, what's he doing? He's seeking treatment abroad. But if Nigeria had better medical facilities, then we will not be worrying about stuff like this. But Nigeria doesn't have good facilities. So Nigeria is suffering because Bola Tinubu has just come. the challenge is he should spend some time to start building better medical facilities in Nigeria. Then he should also spend some time to prevent Nigerian doctors and nurses from flying to Europe. When these people fly to Europe, it is not good for the Nigerian economy. There is brain drain, okay? We see the best doctors in New York are Nigerian. The best doctors in Dallas are Nigerian. The best doctors in Houston are Nigerians. What is chasing them away from Nigeria is because, as I say, there's no fertile soil. There's no good soil. Whenever there's good soil, the plants will grow there. But from what we see, the people are running away because they don't like the conditions at home. When you see medical personnel going on strike because they are not happy, in foreign countries, they take good care of their healthcare workers, which is why they stay there and build the infrastructure for those countries. And this is why those countries have better healthcare systems. Focusing on Nigeria as the big daddy of Africa, even Muhammad Buhari, same problem. He was president for more than 8 years. What happened? He did not build any good infrastructure. Whenever he was sick, he did not trust the healthcare system in Nigeria. He rather trusted the healthcare system in Britain, the colonial master. So now when you talk about, oh, we just want to get rid of colonialism, how can we get rid of colonialism when we still depend on the colonial master for our own care? We don't want to die, but we want to die but in Britain. So when you die in Nigeria, it's not nice. You have to die in London, right? You have to die in England. That way they know that, yeah, he died in England. They clap for you for dying in England. So that's really the situation you see now in Africa. Most of these leaders do not want to die at home. So Buhari, Paul Biya, and Tinubu are not alone. There are so many other leaders in this club. They don't want to die in Africa. They want to die in colonial countries. Look at Togo. Gnassingbé Eyadema. This is a French puppet. He spent so much time, he killed Sylvanus Olympio, took over power, kept the French there. But what did he do for his country? He never built a good hospital in his country. When he was sick, they were flying him back and forth. Eventually, while he was in transit, he died. What a shame. So this is a shameful thing for many African countries because their leaders are not forward-thinking. They don't think that, okay, we have to have better systems so that we can use these systems when we are sick ourselves. But they feel like, oh, maybe I will never die, so I don't need to build any hospital. Those poor people are going to be the ones who will be sick. No. Sickness can affect anybody. Nobody chooses to be sick. So these leaders need to learn bitter lessons. So when I look at this, but when you look at what is happening now from what we're showing you on this show, when we don't have good medical facilities in Africa, who is really benefiting? The person who is benefiting is the colonial master. Because the fact that you don't have a good facility, you spend the money to come to his country. So they get good foreign reserves. You, an African, by contrast, you lose all your wealth. All the money is squandered. Then there's not enough money left to take care of the people at home. So when you watch this video as a subscriber, as a viewer, the question I'm asking you is, does this concern you? If you are an African and you believe in Africa, it should concern you. Because I know, even if you are in America, Britain, you should have relatives in Africa. If there are no good facilities for healthcare in Africa, it is affecting your own relatives. When your relatives are dying, it affects you directly. So this is why you should care about this topic. So now we have to have a call to action. The call to action is contribute to this debate. This is a conversation. What do you think of the topic, medical tourism? Is it okay for African leaders to be flying to colonial capitals for treatment while in Scandinavian countries, prime ministers receive treatment at home? Don't you think it would be a good idea for us to have stronger constitutions, stronger institutions, so that we can ban medical tourism except in unusual circumstances? That's the whole idea. So what do you think? If you believe that we deserve better as an African people, watch this show and share the show with your friends. If you believe we need to make some changes in our healthcare system to end the money we're losing from medical tourism, we're asking you to become part of the conversation. Watch this show and tell me, because you have so many other leaders who can tell you about who are benefiting from medical tourism. Edgar Lungu of Zambia, he just died not too long ago, right? And when you look at Zambia, so many Zambian presidents have died abroad. At least Magufuli of fame, he died in his country. He did not go abroad. He died at home. But all these other guys, they are always dying abroad. So many of them, all those colonial crocodile liberators, they're always dying abroad because it's like when you die abroad, it's quicker to get to heaven. That's not true. They will die abroad and then they will be buried and that will be the end. So dying abroad is not going to change anything. So that's just colonial mentality. And most of these leaders we have in Africa are still troubled by colonial way of thinking. They still think, they have a colonial mindset. They still think the way colonized people behave. So the cheetah generation, where I'm asking you, change what is happening. Let's start thinking differently about medical tourism. Subscribe to this show, subscribe, and get your friends also to subscribe, because we are telling you, join our movement. Let's make Africa great again. Bye-bye.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.